Welcome to Module 53, Introduction to a 4-2-3-1. This module will give you a basic introduction to a 4-2-3-1, and will then take a look at team shape in the defensive phase and the attacking phase. The beauty of soccer is that it is a subjective game, so here are some things to be aware of before you begin. The backline in a 4-2-3-1 consists of two center backs, the 4 and the 5, as well as two outside backs, the 2 and the 3. The 2 and the 3 may also be referred to as fullbacks or wingbacks. The midfield is first made up of two central midfielders. These may be set up as two 6s, called defensive midfielders or holding midfielders, two 8s, called box-to-box midfielders, or a combination of the two. This module, and other modules in the 4-2-3-1 group, will be set up with one more defensive-minded holding midfielder, the 6, and a more pure box-to-box central midfielder, the 8. We encourage you to ask your coach about how your midfield is set up. The second line of midfielders is made up of a center attacking midfielder, a 10, a left attacking midfielder, an 11, and a right attacking midfielder, a 7. Finally is the striker, the 9. In some cases, this player will be a bigger sort of target forward, and in others will be a smaller, more crafty player that can creatively combine with the attacking midfield line, often called a false 9. Now that you've seen the general setup in a 4-2-3-1, let's look at their team shape in the defensive phase, which should look something like this. We can first see the back line is in a compact shape, with the two outside backs tucked inside, funneling opponents away from goal. We then see that the midfield unit is also compact, with the 6 occupying the space in front of the center backs. In some cases, teams might use two 6s in the defensive phase, but in this setup, the 8 plays just a bit higher. The 10 plays above the 8, and the 7 and 11 both have tucked in centrally, though if the ball is on their side of the field, they will commonly shift outside to be the first line of defense. Last is the 9, who has limited roles defensively, depending on the pressing style of your team and other factors. We will discuss defensive shape in other modules, but let's quickly go over the most significant defensive potential weakness. In the attacking phase of play, the outside backs are encouraged to push up, like this, which can leave this space exposed. The 6, the 8, or even the 11 in this case, may be called to help take care of some of the defensive responsibilities of this area if the outside back is caught forward. Before moving on, here are some defensive strengths and weaknesses of a 4-2-3-1, which are also further explored in other modules. Now let's take a look at the attacking shape, which should look something like this. With this shape, we can see that the outside backs, highlighted here, have pushed up to support the attacking midfielders. Very commonly, they will overlap like this, which would push the attacking midfielders into more central positions. Of course, the rest of the team would adjust to balance for this. Other times, it may be the 7 and 11 pushing wide, allowing space centrally for the 2 and 3. The holding midfielder will generally play conservatively to hold off a counterattack, and the 8 will join in the attack. The 10 will also be heavily involved, working with the other attacking midfielders and the striker to be fluid and creative in moving off of one another. What was just mentioned in the ability of the front 4 to move freely off of one another, along with the outside backs being encouraged to get involved, gives this system of play plenty of potential in the attacking phase, especially with the presence of the 6, allowing them to push up more freely into the attack. Before wrapping up, here are some of the defensive strengths and weaknesses of a 4-2-3-1, which can be further explored in other modules. Please move on to the quiz when you're ready.